What's up, Buck? Doug with D&E in the Garage. Today we're going to be dealing with that most awful of building materials. That's right, folks, the ever loathsome dead tree carcass, i.e. carbohydrate foam. Here's what we're going to be doing. I need to build a workbench for this area right here. If you are a viewer of the show, you know that this is not usually where my toolboxes go. They used to be over in this area, and this area used to not be filled with a literal mountain of junk. Here's what happened. My New Year's resolution for this year was to try to find a way to make my shop more useful. This is not a single purpose shop, a dual purpose shop, or even a triple purpose shop. This has to be a wood shop, a metal shop, an auto body shop, a storage facility, and a place to park the vehicles. So the hobbled together setup that I've been working with for years is just not cutting it anymore. Our end goal is to separate the shop into two parts. We're gonna have the woodworking all over here. We got our sanding down there. This bench will be for woodworking. My toolboxes are over here to do more work, but I need a tabletop to work on. I've always wanted a custom table. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I'm not super tall. Kind of low to the ground, agile, I've heard it called. And as a result, a lot of the prefab workbenches out there on the market are a little bit too tall for me. So I want a workbench that comes to like right here. All right, that's gonna be perfect for me. It's gonna cover up these toolboxes. I'll have a little bit of storage on top, and this is where we'll do our automotive work and all of the jimmy jamming and spritzing of the good stuff we need. So here's the plan for today. We are going to take this beautifully milled Idaho forest lumber that we got over at the Home Depot, and we are going to first cut it down, remove the bull nose on each side, and we'll end up with a piece that's about 3 inches by 1.5. For those that don't know, 2x4s do not mention 2 or 4. They mention 3.5 by 1.5. Then we're going to laminate them all together this way so that we have a nice thick, nice strong, nice sturdy tabletop. Those who remember the teaser on Instagram and on the last update video, that's why we bought the gallon of glue. We're going to need a fork ton of glue to jimmy jam this bad boy together. Then just for good measure and to keep everything aligned while the glue dries, we are going to put a ready rod through in 3 locations spaced out along the table. We'll clamp all that down together and we will have a hecka strong table. I picked up some scrap metal that we're going to use to make legs, and that'll be it, man. We're going to have a nice, probably 24 wide, 24 deep. It will be 24 deep. I got 16 2x4s measuring at 1.5 inches. 1.5 times 16 is 24. I knew you knew it. And then it's probably going to be about 5+ feet long. Depends on if I can put the Delta bandsaw someplace else. I don't know. We're in the process of rearranging the garage. We've got to get the table built so we can work around that. These are almost 8 foot long 2x4s, so we're just going to make the table at 8 feet and then cut it down to where we need it to be. First things first, we got to rip these down, get that bull nose off the edge so that we have some nice square units so that our tabletop is not wavy but nice and flat. Alrighty friends, we're gonna have to do this one outside given the length of the boards. Just not enough room in the garage. That is kind of a bummer because it's about 25 Dungarees Frankenstein out here and my fingies is cold. So we're gonna set up this table saw to rip these guys down. We're gonna take a 1/4 inch off each side, and what that's going to do is clean up the edges, as these boards are from the Home Depot, and if you've ever sourced material from the Home Depot, you know it's not exactly the finest lumber this God-given green earth has to offer. So 1/4 inch off each side will be left with a 3 inch by 1.5 inch board. So we're going to go ahead and set up our rip saw for 3 1/4 inches. Get her relatively close. That is good enough for government work, I figure. Alrighty, now it's always a good idea to check your lumber for stuff like staples before you go running it through a saw, for obvious reasons. Contact! Ooh, buddy Buck, I tell you what, we just jimmy jammed our way through quite a lot of lumber. We're only halfway done. Generated more than a little bit of sawdust, looking like a saloon floor in here. We got halfway done. Ripped a 1/4 off of these sides, effectively removing the bull nose. Now I suppose you could just stop here and let this be the bottom, but you know, something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, right? So might as well go the extra mile, cut the extra little bit off. The reason being, you wouldn't want a table that's got all these ridges in it like that. You know, imagine that all laminated together. You want something nice and flat, obviously. Alright, Buck, we got our tree slicer set to exactly, precisely, approximately 3 inches. You will notice I'm wearing gloves when I'm running this saw the second time around. It's just too cold, man. We're gonna be nice and careful like, and I think we'll be fine. The choice was possibly lose a finger in a saw or definitely lose a finger to frostbite. Show must go on. Contact. There it is, 16 perfectly milled boards. I did the math. We just cut 256 feet of lumber, generated, I don't know, about a metric ton of sawdust, and all the kindling I should need for the rest of the winter. Additionally, I redecorated the Jeep. Didn't quite mean to do that. Sorry about that, Ruby. I guess I should have... I don't know what I should have done. I'm a monkey with a toolbox. This was as best as it was ever going to get. I didn't cut any phalanges off, though I am about to freeze some toes off. So let's get this garbage back in the garage. Jeez, amateur hour. Let's get this in the garage and get this project on the way. Alrighty friends, here is our mechanics workbench, some assembly required. What we're going to do now is try to identify two pieces that look the prettiest, so that we are putting our best foot forward and have some real nice looking stuff on the outsides. Because the whole point of building a bench yourself is that you're going to have it forever, right? So you might as well just take the dang old time and do it right the first time. So I'm going to find some boards that look real nice, and I'm going to figure out which way I want to orient them, taking grain into consideration and where the knot holes are. I remember seeing a really nice board when I was putting them through the old wood slicer there, but did I put it to the side? No. So I think I just got lucky. Was this it? Yeah. So this is gonna be a real nice one for the face. That'll sand off, but no knot holes. Yeah, that's gonna be a good guy. Only bummer are the knot holes here. Don't love the idea of a knot hole right at the beginning of the table, but that's just a fact of life with the wood we have. Trees have branches, so trees have knot holes, and as wood comes from trees, you get it. The problem with knot holes, if you're not familiar with wood, is wood dries out over time. These knot holes will pop out. So in a few years, that'll be a hole you can fill with epoxy or something, which is what we'll probably do. Now, another consideration to make is you want all of these have some amount of bow in them, almost all of them. So you're going to want ones that are bowing in opposite directions for the outsides, because otherwise you won't be able to. There's a good chance you're going to end up with a gap. In the middle, it doesn't matter because you got something to sandwich the whole jimmy jam together, but you want a bow like this on this side and a bow like that on that other side. So really just got to sit here and play with your wood for a while till you get it right. Alrighty friends, we are getting closer. We have identified which pieces we want to be our face pieces. They are currently in place, and I've identified which side of the board I want to be the top. So this is the table. This is what we're looking at right now. What I'm going to do now is move these around, taking into account three things. Which direction the grain goes here, and I want to try to alternate that as much as possible. Make sure that no knot holes are like lined up with each other, and I'm probably going to stagger stuff based on color. Here's the thing, I've told you guys many times that I'm the monkey with a toolbox out there getting greasy. My father is a woodworker. I don't share his total passion for woodworking. I prefer metalworking and automotive, but he did impart on me a love of wood. And what's cool about working with wood and why this is a really awesome project, and if you've never built a workbench for yourself, I highly recommend you do it, is this thing is gonna get dirty, it's gonna get beat to hell, and I'm gonna weld on it, I'm gonna cut on it, I'm gonna spill motor oil on it, but for a little bit of time before that's done and forever memorialized on Instagram pictures will be this really awesome, beautiful butcher's block laminated wood table. So now's an opportunity to kind of enjoy the character in the wood. I'm not sure that everybody feels that way about wood, but I do. And I'm really hoping that when this is done, we have a really nice looking thing before we go ahead and destroy it for the next, honestly, lifetime. A table like this, unless you burn the damn thing to the ground, she's not going nowhere. So put some time into it, have some fun with it, make it yours, you know? You'll notice the grain swirling. You want to try to alternate that. See right here, I got 3 in a row where they're all going the same direction. And there's a very good chance, well, no, there's not a very good chance. This thing's going to be glued and screwed together with all thread. It's not going anywhere. But it's typically a good idea to take into account which way the grain is going and alternate so that these 3 are going to want to pull this way as they age. I'll put this one going the other way, kind of opposing forces. It just makes it even that much more strong. Like I said, this project is kind of out of the ordinary for me. I usually cut a lot of corners. I do things the cheapest, easiest, fastest, bestest way. Today we're gonna take our time. We're gonna put some thought into it because I'll be looking at this bench the rest of my life. And who knows, maybe it'll even survive for a future generation. Okay, so we're just gonna flip this guy around because I know that I want this side on top. And lay it in there. Now we've got an alternating grain in there just to add a little more strength. I'm gonna do that all the way down the line, and then we're ready to start laying out and drilling and, gosh darn it, get into the gluing. Alrighty, we've encountered two problems. Well, one problem, and it's been encountered twice. These two are center cuts. You can see this is the very center of the tree, and then the grain radiates out from there. Centers, heart cuts, they tend to do all kinds of crazy wonky stuff. So I want these two buried in the middle of the table. They're gonna wanna spin, twist, bend, warp. So unfortunately, this one I was hoping was going to be my face piece. I didn't catch that before. So we're going to bury these two way in the middle of the stack here so that they have plenty of other stuff holding them down so they can't try to escape when they start drying out. All right, here's the plan of attack. We have 7/16 inch ready rod. We're going to drill 1/2 inch holes so that we got plenty of room to jimmy jam that guy through there, as these boards are all types of wonky. Then we've got this hardware right here. The freaking Hody Po didn't have non-grade 8 friggin' washers, so this thing's going to be built for the apocalypse. What we're going to do is take a spade bit and countersink the first and last board so that it sits flush, because the last thing you want is that stuff sticking out to get caught in your pocket every damn time you walk by. And I think we're going to mark the spade bit with some tape, you know, so that we know how far in to go. Today is a truly good day as I get to use the most loyal tool in my entire shop. This old Black & Decker Professional drill was my dad's from I don't even know when, and at some point he decided it was getting a little tired, so he passed it along to me. He said, "Here man, you can have this, probably not going to live too much longer, but go ahead." I've had this thing's probably drilled through about 5 feet of steel in my various Jeep projects. The darn thing just won't die. I do have a newer version, actually Eric got it for me, and it's a perfectly fine drill, but I don't bother breaking it out until this one's fully dead, you know? It's the darndest thing. Insert rant about how they don't make tools like they used to. All right, now I got this little wing hanging out on the side, so as we're going down, once we get in the wing scraping the wood, we're donezo. We got our holes marked out to ensure accuracy. We're gonna give them a little center punch action. Not that these spade bits wander, they got pretty aggressive little tooth on there, but you know. The theme of this project is, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Alrighty, next step is going to be to drill the 1/2 inch holes in this first board down here, and then I'm going to use that board as a guide for all the subsequent boards, but I did number them before I go start moving them around, because otherwise they're going to get all mixed up and then all that idiot work I did getting them just right would be for naught. Alright, all the holes are drilled. I'm going to take a piece of, what is this, like 60 grit sandpaper and just knock off anything that's sticking up in the back, because if there's any pieces, obviously it's not going to jimmy jam together nicely. Just real quick, just like that. You see stuff like this? Can you see on this one? Oh, where that's like sticking up? Yeah, so that would prevent us from seating nicely. Alright, Buck, we got everything cleaned up. We managed to get the rods through, well, 2 of them anyway. The outside ones are through. A little bit of help from the not so BFH, but we got them in there anyway. Jimmy jammed them right in. We are now gonna squeeze everything together, and for the first time we'll be able to see what our table looks like. I'll tell you what, this mother trucker is heavy. It's got some serious gravity to her. So, let's see. Alrighty friends, here we have it. Now it looks pretty awful now because I didn't take the time to level all these out. Now there are 2 ways to do this. One is to take these rods out, lay it all down so that your, this side is down, put the glue and then put it all back together, but I think that's gonna be more of a mess. Here's what I'm thinking. Pull these nuts all the way back and one at a time, slide a board out, paint the back side with the glue, then slide the next one back. I don't know. I can't decide which way is going to be less messy and more time effective. I'm gonna step back. I have to get this stuff cleaned up, get all the sawdust out of the way. I've got some, what's this stuff? Tablecloths for like parties, kids parties, that I'm gonna put all over the floor, because obviously I'm not trying to just make a swimming pool of wood glue. And by the time all that is done, maybe we'll have an answer. Let me know in the squawk boxes down below what you think I should do, and we'll see if we agreed when it gets time to actually doing it. Alrighty friends, I think we are all set up. I've chosen to go with the slide method, mostly because I've never seen it before. Screw it, man. Let's give her a try. I know tons of people that do it the other way. I've never seen anybody do it this way. We're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna need our glue. If you're gonna attempt a project like this, you're gonna want a gallon of glue. At least. This is a small one, so we may not use the full gallon, but you're gonna want to just go on Amazon. I like the Gorilla Glue, because if it's strong enough for a gorilla, it's probably strong enough for me. Disposable paintbrush, probably a good idea. I've seen a lot of people use those foam brushes, but I don't really like them much. I got a little bin from a glue. I'm gonna wear gloves, not as much to protect my hands, but if we get into some deep snow, I wanna be able to rip the gloves off and handle the situation. I test fit the middle post. It glides in pretty well. So, don't anticipate any issues there. I was able to cover all areas with this lovely yellow tablecloth. So, man, we're ready to get into her. Alright, now I will comment that I'm not going to go glue all the way to the very end of the board. I'm probably going to leave 6 inches. And that's because I know for a fact I'm cutting off almost a foot from each end. It would just be a waste of glue and time. And it's going to spread the mess out even that much further. So we are going to do the whole thing. Get into the glue of it. It smells like glue. Wonder if it tastes like glue. A little chilly in the garage today. See how it flows. Oh, that's not great. Come on. There it is. That's appetizing right there. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's way too much, which is exactly enough. Probably not. We'll be back for more. We're obviously going to do this as quickly as possible because we want the glue to be nice and wet when we put it all together. All right. So far, so good. This brush spreads it amazingly. I think this just may work out really well. Now, my shoes are going to end up covered in glue, but these are sneakers that the wife's been trying to get me to throw out for about half a decade, so it's probably time. All right, now to test our theory, we've completely covered the surfaces in glue. Should I do both sides? Screw it. If anything's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Oh, I just got glue all the way up my arm. We're gonna at least get a light coat on this side to make sure there are no dry spots when it meets up. We got plenty of glue. No use getting stingy now. I'm in no way worried about where I'm getting glue. This whole top has to be sanded extensively anyway. So we're just gonna Uncle Jerry this thing and slop it on there. All right, we've done both sides, all the way down. Now we slide, and I said slide. Make sure we're nice and tight there. Well, as tight as we're gonna be, and then get back to gluing. We only have to do this like 30 more times. And we're gonna call that good enough for government work, because we're done. Slide and Z. There we go. Now we gotta I already lost the camera, so you guys didn't get to see the end of that, but we just tightened all this stuff down. We clamped it all down. You can see everything's doing its drip drop routine. That's going to be a lot of fun to deal with later, but the top is not so bad. I got it as even as I could. The boards are just wonky. There's going to be a lot of sanding there. I took a wet cloth and I tried to move the glue around. That's going to serve two purposes. It's going to fill any gaps that remain, and it's going to knock it down so we're not dealing with crazy high points like that. It's kind of a trip, right? So, alrighty, now I wait, and in 24 hours I can come back, and we'll probably cut it to size, start sanding her down. Alrighty friends, here go the table all dried up. I let it sit for well over 24 hours, probably about 36 hours now that we're into her. And nice and solid, plenty of glue on the top. Was not able to get the boards quite as level as I would have liked, so I have a lot of sanding ahead of me, but the first thing we have to do is lop off the ends. So what I did was I measured 6 inches out from the center of this and this piece of ready rod. That's going to give us the 5-foot table that I want. I have this straight edge clamped down so that I can ride this circular saw right along it. We'll get a nice straight line. The only problem is my circular saw is not blade's not wide enough to jimmy jam the whole thing off in one bite, so we'll have to finish it the old-fashioned way, the old back and forth saw. But that's okay. We'll get most of the way through. We'll have our nice line and then do the same thing down there. Then we start sanding. About 5 1/4. About 5 1/4. She's perfect. Let's do it. Contact. Immediately ran into the issue that my clamp was in the way. So we're off to an inauspicious start as we dig a saw into this project we've been working so hard on. All right, now that's readjusted. We've accounted for idiocy. Back at it. Contact. Obviously the same thing happened down here, but hitting the clamp, that is, but well, we have to get in here with the old bow saw anyway, so jimmy jam on down to the other side. Perfect though. Alright, we went ahead and accounted for idiocy beforehand this time and put the straight edge on the other side, out of the way of the motor. Last test fit. She don't look teabag. It's over a little bit, but that's alright. We're fine. Contact. Alrighty friends, here it is, the old trusty Stanley handsaw. Alrighty, that did not take nearly as long as I thought it might. Has nothing to do with the building of a table, but it's kind of a cool cross section. You can see all the grains a little bit clearer. Oops, you can see I didn't do a great job alternating there, but the rest of the way I tried my best to alternate them. That's going to add overall strength to the table. You can see that crazy heart cut there. Alrighty friends, I got way more footage than I thought I was going to getting to this point, so we're going to go ahead and part 1 this thing. To be continued. Tune in next week. This will be part 1 of how to make the ultimate mechanics bench, and we'll have part 2 coming next week. We got to cut these bad boys off. We need to level the top, and I think we're going to level the bottom as well, just for good measure. We need to do something to seal these ends, because otherwise they will crack. And we'll probably, I don't know if we're going to do Danish oil or boiled linseed oil on the top. Of course, we need to mount our vise, mount some legs. So there's actually a lot more to do. We may even part 3 it, but for this one, that's all there is to it. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, leave me a comment down in the squawk box. I'd love to hear about what you think about my slide method. I've never seen it done. Worked fine. I don't think in any way the tabletop suffered, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've ever made one of these things. So far into this project, I have about 60 bucks into the wood and the hardware. I got the legs for free. I'm gonna need maybe another $20 in mounting hardware to mount the legs, but so far, $60 project, not teabag, if I do say so myself. So if you like the video, that's common sense, right? Go ahead and sub to the channel. Consider checking us out on Patreon, Etsy, and Teespring. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.